In this episode of Fact Friday, we're going to be going over one of nature's smallest and most interesting species of gecko. So without further delay, let's get into it. Mourning geckos are almost all female, with males typically being both extremely rare and sterile. So the obvious question is, well, how do they make more mourning geckos? Mourning geckos actually don't need to mate in order to reproduce. All they need is the invitation to mating. Usually one female will pretend to mate with another female, and that will start the process. Number 4 relates back to the previous point. Since no data was swapped in the process of making a baby mourning gecko, the baby will always be identical to its mother. This means that if you get a mourning gecko with colorations you like, you can be assured that its offspring will be identical to it. Meaning you can have generations and generations of geckos that all look identical to the first one you ever got. I mentioned a few entries back that almost all mourning geckos are female, and that plays into likely why they were named mourning geckos. Mourning geckos do make noises, either in general or towards other mourning geckos. It is said they got this name because it was believed those noises were the gecko mourning the loss of a mate. While nobody can confirm that story, it is an interesting one, and it is the one that I most commonly see online and in reptile discussions, so I guess it works. Despite the offspring of mourning geckos looking identical to their parents, not every mourning gecko looks the same as another mourning gecko. Depending on locale, there is some difference. Even in the same locale, you can find numerous different lines of mourning gecko. One line may all have bolder back patterns, or another could be more yellow, or more brown, or more white, or something along those lines. If you want to get into keeping mourning geckos, the key is to find 2 you really like the look of and go from there. You will need 2, however, because although they don't technically mate, they do still need the act of it in order to reproduce. While most geckos in the pet trade have a region that is commonly associated with them, mourning geckos do not. For example, crested geckos are New Caledonian geckos. They're named that because, well, they're from New Caledonia. Leopard geckos, they have a general region in the Middle East that they're from, and so we call them Middle Eastern geckos because they are. With mourning geckos, they are found everywhere. Now, the most common one that you'll see in the North American pet trade are the Hawaiian mourning geckos, but there are also ones in India, South America, Japan, Mexico, so on. They are common pretty much anywhere in a coastal area, and that's what makes them so cool, because chances are if you live in one of these areas, you've seen one of them chewing on a leaf or on your window, or even sneaking their way into your house because they're so tiny that they can get underneath doors. So these are super cool geckos that if you live in one of these regions, you probably have already seen and know about. So that's it. That wraps up this week's Fact Friday. Thank you all for watching. If you have any suggestions, not just for Fact Fridays, but for videos you'd like to see on here, drop that below. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like and drop a sub. And if you like reptile and animal photography, and sometimes short clips that don't make it onto the channel, you can check out my Instagram at Funky Geckos. Alright, no more shameless plugging. I will see you guys next time.